Hello, ladies. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can.
Amazing. Ah, welcome to another day of detoxing. Ladies, some of you have been having a really, really rough time. I'm sorry about that, but it's how detoxing works, right? It's how it happens. So you have to get rid, you have to purge so that the body can start to heal. And some of you are purging very deeply, very fast, very intense. And I wish I could say that, well, there is a way to stop it. You could literally stop it by waking up tomorrow and having, a cheese sandwich. That will stop the detox process. But you've come this far. And those of you, even if you're not having the really, really intense, very uncomfortable detox symptoms, some of you might be wondering, can I really do this? Can I keep going? And some of you have written to me and said, I feel like quitting. And is it normal to feel like quitting? And 100%, it's normal to feel like quitting anytime you're doing anything new. And especially if it's taking a physical toll on you, because you still can't see you don't understand what the potential benefit might be. But I just want to remind you of something really important, all of you. When it comes to powering through and doing what you need to do in your life in general and quitting versus not quitting. I can tell you, and not knowing all of you personally, some of you I know, majority of you I don't, that as women, we don't give up easily. When it comes to all of your roles as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, like it doesn't matter. As a, employee, as whatever it is your role is, all the roles, right? Some of us have older parents now we're also caregivers. As hard as those roles and responsibilities might be, and even as draining as they might be on you sometimes, and yes, sometimes you feel like giving up and you just want to quit and you don't want to do anything anymore, not for your kids, not for your husband, not for your family, you just want to disappear. Do you? No, the answer is no, you don't. You keep doing what you need to do. When something is asked of you, when you're required to do something for your kids, for example, you never think to yourself, I can't do this. You never think, I'm too tired for this. You never think this is going to take too much effort. If your boss gives you a deadline, can you even dream of telling your boss, no matter how outrageous the deadline is, no, I'm not going to do it? Too bad. No, not going to happen. In any area of your life, you don't. The idea of not doing something never occurs to you when it's not something to do with yourself or with your health, right? Never think of it when it's your kids, your job, your husband, your parents, your responsibilities, your friends, anybody who needs you to do anything for them, anytime, even if it's incredibly inconvenient for you, you're going to do it. So you already know how to succeed. You see it. If you take a moment and think about all these areas of your life, all the different moving pieces of your life, you can see that you have achieved success. 100%. Might not have been easy, but you achieved it. So you already know what to do to be successful. You just haven't been taught to apply the same skill set that you apply in every other area of your life. You just haven't been taught to apply it to your health and to yourself. One of the main reasons, of course, being is that we've just been programmed to believe that health is something we outsource, that you can't do anything anyway about your health, right? That whenever you feel anything, you just run to the doctor and the doctor solves it for you. So that's part of it. But the bigger part is, as women, we just put ourselves always at the bottom of our priorities, right? Bottom of the list. When I have time and energy, I'll take care of myself. When I have the focus and I don't have stress in my life, then I'll take care of myself. The reality is, you know exactly what to do. You know exactly how to do it. You have the mindset to do it. You have the skill set to do it. Now it's time to just take it and recognize how you've applied it and succeeded everywhere else in your life and bring that same non-negotiable success mindset to this journey because it's already there. You're not recreating it. It's a different type of goal you have here, but reaching a goal is not something new to any of you. Succeeding in life is not something new to any of you. Bring it on here because here it's even more important than all those other areas because you can't do all those other things as you're getting older. If you want to continue to be there for all these people in your lives and continue to be successful and continue to reach your goals, right now, in order to do that, you have to be successful in your health. You don't have a choice. So when it comes up, that little feeling, when it bubbles up, I want to quit, go back to your bigger why and remind yourself that of all the success you've had in your life, all the hardship you've had in your life that you've overcome and succeeded to overcome, and remind yourself that you can do this here for yourself as well. All right. Okay, ladies. Couple of comments. Amira, sorry, I can't put my camera on as I'm preparing for guests to arrive. I might need to leave early. No worries. Hi, Dana. Hi, Dina. Irini. Hello, Dana. Today I messed up. I feel so bad. My blood pressure was 80 over 50. Amira, so true. Okay, you messed up before the blood pressure, or did the blood pressure happen as a result of the mess up? Irini, where are you? There you are.
Hi Dana, how
Hi.
are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. No, before I felt so bad, so I had to take something. I had more than 4 dates. Yani, I had about 10 or something. I felt so bad.
You
I
felt
wasn't
bad
okay.
as in guilty, or you physically felt unwell?
Physically, I felt like my heart beats so
Mm.
fast. Yeah,
And
so
is
I
that
had.
is that something that happens to you regularly?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay. And
hmm
what do you usually do when that happens?
Uh, when that happened, I usually eat or drink something. Sometimes I just put my feet up or my leg up so that it sometimes it works, but it usually happens to me.
Okay. And are you on medication for this?
Yes, I used to take, but I didn't take. Uh, yes.
Okay, so what did you do? So you felt physically unwell, so you had the 10 dates and what else?
That's it. And I had two apples, not one.
Okay.
Yeah, I messed up. I had lots of fruits, so.
That's not a okay, I thought you were going to tell me something else. No, that's not a mess
Oh,
up. That's
I,
perfect.
yeah, I did my
Time
best, but
out.
yes, I feel bad.
No, 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 no. That's exactly what you should have done. Exactly, is to try and bring up your sugar levels naturally. So the dates, the apples, that's not messing up. You cannot mess up by eating a lot of fruits. You cannot. That's not a mess up. That's listening to your body and following nature's guide. So this is not a mess up at all. This is a huge success right here.
Thank you.
Okay. How are you
Okay,
feeling now?
much better.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank
So
you, Dana.
maybe in this case, since this is something that is recurring for you, maybe this is the way your body's telling you, obviously, you've been missing fuel, you've been missing sugar. So make sure to maintain this level of fruits, dates, apples on a regular basis so that you don't have to have the dip and then you compensate. Keep that
Mhm.
level of fruits and dates up on a regular basis.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. Dina, wondering about the apple and date snack. Is there something particular about the combination or apple and date together? It was just a matter of, excuse me, having a minimum amount. There is something about the combination. There is something about in terms of the fuel, the vitamins, and also the mineral, the sodium content of both that really helps to balance cortisol levels so that your body doesn't go into a freak mode, which we're going to talk about today. So yes. Yesterday night, I felt so hungry at 12, so I ate a banana and two dates, then slept. Is that okay? 100% okay. You're still, all of you, it's still only since Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it's only the fifth day that you're eating like this. The fifth day out of years. years, that you're shifting from years of eating a certain way. Today's only day 5. So the hunger, what we call, remember, the fake hunger pangs that are going to come up in this readjustment period, they're going to happen. So definitely what you want to do when they happen is have your fruits, have a banana, as many bananas as you need, as many dates as you need. Those hunger pangs that are going to come at odd hours in the middle of the night, or late at night, technically they're not supposed to, those will taper off. But in the meantime, work with them. And as you're working with them, you're reprogramming your body that when I need fuel, when there's any kind of need for replenishing, I'm going to do it with natural sugar. This is also important to reprogram your insulin. We're going to talk about that today also. So that's perfectly fine. Jaylen, I have noises in my stomach. That's all the healing. So healing is noises, is gas, is bloating, is pooping, is diarrhea. All of that is fine. I did my blood test. CRP is 1. Is that okay? I don't know these numbers off the top of my head generally, ladies, so I will need to check Jayland, but I believe, actually, no, I don't believe. I don't know these numbers off of my head. I always have to check the charts. So please message me and remind me of this, Jayland, to check for you. Celine, hi Dana. Knowing what happened to me this morning, tomorrow, what shall I do? I'm still nauseous and my stomach still is bloated and hurts, and I have a very bad cough, command like an allergic one. Is this also part of the detox? Yes, 100% part of the detoxing. Coughing, runny nose. I would stick with lemon water only, no celery, no smoothie, lemon water and fruits and boiled potatoes only for you, Celine, tomorrow. Is it okay to have a very high heart rate, 122? Resting heart rate, Reda, so you're just sitting in bed and doing nothing while you're exerting effort. There's a difference. And how often does it happen and how long does it stay raised? Sally, yes, resting. And what is it usually? Do you know?
It was usually around 90
Okay.
or below, like 88. But I had like an episode of very high heart rate today. I
Okay.
was really worried and I felt it all over my body, like
Okay.
in my head, all over my body. So I didn't know what to do. I just took dates and it's gone after maybe half an hour.
Okay. Okay. So
Is it okay?
typically, well, we have to track it. Typically, any symptom like a fast, sudden heart rate, okay, or a sudden drop in blood pressure or a sudden rise in blood pressure, or something like a missed period or heavy period. We worry that it might be something if it recurs. So when something happens as a one-off, a missed cycle once, a really heavy period once, a really dark, clotty period once, heart rate goes up once, heart blood pressure goes up once, and then it never happens again, then you just think, okay, there was a glitch in the system that day. It could be anything. You should only start to pay attention so we can link and see the cause and effect of that if it's something that repeats.
All right.
So
Okay.
as of right now, it's not an issue because it happened and it went away. So I want you to track this, Reda, okay?
I'll
It
do that.
happened today, put down the date, put down the time, what the heart rate was, what you were doing before, what you ate before, and what you did to bring it down. And let's see when and if it happens again.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Okay? All right.
Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. Um, Let me go up. Sometimes I get home late, so I end up having dinner around 9 or 10. Is that late? It is late. It is late, right? Ideally, you want dinner by 6 or 7. If you know that this is going to happen, is it possible for you to take your dinner with you at work or wherever you're going to be so that you can have it early, potentially? Again, if it's a one-off, it's not a big deal. If it's something you have to do every single night you come home, this is when you have to manage it. Reham, how do you manage cravings of carbs? I didn't have this craving the first couple of days, only started yesterday and today. Carbs are fruits and vegetables, right? So what you're talking about potentially is a craving for processed carbs, and that's what I'm referring to when I say the fake hunger. So when that happens, give your body the real carbs. Give it all the fruits, dates, apples, whatever is in season now, strawberries, anything, right? When your body wants carbs, that means it needs fuel. The mistake we've always made up until this point is when we get that craving, we give it processed carbs. And processed carbs create an addiction and they keep your body needing toxic doses of sugar. Once you start to reprogram that need for carbs, which is not wrong, by the way, your body's asking for fuel. That's what it is. Once you reprogram that need with essential carbohydrates, which is what fruits and vegetables are, very gradually, once that the fuel is stabilized and your body's not going up and down, that urge for energy and carbs will decrease. So give it all the carbs in terms of fruits when that happens, as much as you need. Iman, I need something solid like potatoes, rice, bread. You're eating a lot of solids in the vegetables, and you're going to get potatoes on Wednesday. So this is your addictions speaking. This is your little critter brain trying to sabotage you. You don't actually need those. Need means if you don't have them, then something's going to happen to you. Obviously, nothing's going to happen to you. So it's not a need, it's a want, and it's a craving. And once you get to Wednesday, you will get to have the potatoes. So just hold off until Wednesday. Maria, I ate more than 4 dates too. Is that wrong? No. As many dates as you want, ladies. Dates are the most natural, most pure, most healing form of sugar. I ate, oops, I'm going to go up. And I had dates between breakfast and lunch. Amazing. Can I eat more than 1 apple at night? Yes, of course. Or an apple or any other fruit at night? Yes, of course. No quantities on types or no quantity on quantity, no limit on quantity or types or frequency for fruits. Dina, can we add a small amount of olive oil to a salad similar to the veggies? Yes, you get 1 tablespoon of olive oil per day. So you want to divide it between lunch and dinner. You want to use it all up in one meal. Up to you. Sally, is it okay to use tahina as a dip for my veggies or with dates? Not yet. You can do that in the clean eating, not in the deep detox. Also have sugar craving. I want to eat desserts and pasta. Again, that's the same craving that Rihem is talking about, that who else was talking about it? Any of the cravings. Maria, this is the same thing. You're all describing the same issue, which is a need for fuel / false hunger pangs, because your body's coming off of all the processed sugars, which are addictive. It's like your body's coming off a drug. So give it the proper carbohydrates as much as you need, and you'll see this slowly taper off and disappear. Dina, is it okay if we don't include all the ingredients in the salad dressing, but incorporate them elsewhere? Garlic with the veggies instead of the salad? Yes, of course. Jaylan, I crave coffee. What I do? Power through the craving, Jaylan. You got to power through it. Coffee is a strong, strong addiction. Today's only day 5. It takes at least 5 days for any addiction to start to leave the body. So you're right at that point where you are about to reach the point where you won't crave it. So don't give in now. Hind, I feel like I'm gaining weight. I don't really get any withdrawal symptoms, but I feel I'm swollen, although I eliminate a lot. Is that normal? Amazing on the elimination. That is your detox symptom, right? Eliminating more than your usual is a detox withdrawal symptom. The body is getting rid of everything. You're not gaining weight. What might be happening to some of you is because these fruits and vegetables are full of water, packed full of hydration. And anybody coming into the program not having eaten this amount of fruits and vegetables, you are dehydrated on a cellular level. If you're eating the standard diet of coffee, bread, cheese, rice, pasta, protein, and maybe an odd fruit during the day, then you are even if you're drinking 8 cups of water, you're dehydrated on a cellular level. So now you're giving your body these incredibly hydrating fruits and vegetables. And remember, the hydration in the fruits and vegetables is healing hydration that you can't get anywhere else. That hydration in fruits and vegetables, that water contains, it's holding all the live vitamins, live minerals, live enzymes, antioxidants that you can't get anywhere else. So when your body's finally getting what it's been missing, it's going to hold on to all of that. So you might feel like you're, holding on to water. You might feel like you're gaining weight, but it's because the body is holding on to this hydration that has been missing for so long. This is a temporary holding on. When the body doesn't quite trust you yet because it's seen you and it's been with you as you've gone through one diet after another, one plan after another. So right now, your body's not sure if this is a true lifestyle change or if it's another temporary thing that you're doing. But it's going to hold on to this hydration for dear life because it's been missing it. When the body's confident, it might take a few weeks, it might take a month. When the body's confident that what you're doing is not just another temporary quick fix, and it's confident that this hydration, this healing hydration is going to be or has become regular and it's going to happen every day and it's not going to be cut off from that source anymore, then it will let go of any hydration that it's holding on to. But only after, and this is why it's so important to constantly be in conversation with yourself, only after you've reassured the body through mindset and through action that this is a long-term, it's not a short-term fix. Meha, on Wednesday, can I blend the potato with the rest of the vegetables as a soup, or do I have to eat separately? Whatever you want to do, blend it separately. It all works. It is very hard to make preparations and take veggies meal to work. Can I take a salad only, an extra smoothie or fruits, then take veggies as dinner when I go home? Yes, you can do that. Nancy, I don't have a sweet tooth at all, so I eat the bare minimum of fruits, dates, honey. Any options for salty? If you want salty, then you can snack on the vegetables, chopped vegetables or something like that. But don't cut down on the fruits or dates or honey or any of the fruits at all, because like I just explained, this is your source of hydration, your source of healing, and your source of energy. How long should we leave between fruits and bedtime? Fruits go through your system really, really quickly. So let's say you've had your dinner at 6 or 7, you want to have a fruit at 8, and you're going to sleep at 10, that would be okay. Maria, yes, I'm craving sugar. Yeah. When can we see weight loss? Did not see any grams off my scale. For the reasons I just explained, Reda, if you are incredibly dehydrated, your body's holding on to that hydration. If your body is battling a condition, and you are, Reda, right? You have pre-existing conditions, the body is not going to prioritize weight loss over healing. Never. The body's going to heal you first. When it's reassured that you don't have any more symptoms, that you're off your medications, that you're feeling the best that you can feel, then it will release excess weight. And this is different for everybody, but generally this is how the body functions. Is it true that fruits at night gets fermented and not digested? Only if they're mixed with something else. So if you eat the typical way where you have a late dinner, late lunch, and you have protein and you have rice, or pasta or bread or cheese or anything like that, those are going to ferment on their own anyway, right? They're not going to get digested if you have them late at night in all cases, with or without fruits. But then when you add fruits, remember fruits only take 30 minutes to go through, and all of these other foods take 3 to 4 hours to go through. So if you've eaten those foods, then you eat the fruit, it gets stuck, 100% there's going to be fermentation. But if you are eating our regular, the detox meal of vegetables, and then half an hour or an hour later, you have a fruit, that's not going to ferment because vegetables also go through the system quickly. I'm suffering from chronic constipation. So I shared yesterday's email. If you haven't seen that, the castor oil pack to help you deal with constipation. If you have chronic constipation, you're not finding any relief, start with the castor oil pack. Do that every single night and let me know. All right. Okay, I'm going to answer this one question and we have to get to our topic today. Is it okay to take fruits and dates with lunch as I felt hungry after finishing lunch? Yes, if you're just eating the vegetables and the salad, yes, you can have them directly after. No problem. All right, ladies, this is where you want to take out something to write on. We are going to go over your hormones. So here we are talking about hormones, talking about chronic conditions, but how many of you actually know what a hormone is or how a hormone functions? How many of you know? What is the definition of a hormone? Put it in the chat if you know. We talk about them all the time, right? My hormones, my hormones, my hormones. Do you know what a hormone is and what it does? Anybody? No idea. Fair enough. All right. So, a hormone, ladies, is a chemical messenger. You have a collection of organs in your body called your endocrine system. You might remember this from like biology in school, right? Your endocrine system includes, oh, Zainab, a chemical substance that signals different areas of the body to function. That's almost 100% correct. Thank you, Zainab. So yeah, it's a chemical substance. It is produced in the endocrine system. Different hormones are produced in different organs of the endocrine system. The endocrine system is your thyroid, your pancreas, your adrenal glands, your ovaries. These are the different organs that produce different hormones and then release these hormones so that, as Zainab says, they perform a specific function. So your pancreas produces your insulin, your thyroid produces your thyroid hormones, your ovaries produce your estrogen, progesterone, your adrenals produce your cortisol and adrenaline. These are your biggest hormones. We're going to talk about these three main sets of hormones today. You have a lot of other little hormones, a lot of subsets of hormones, but it's too long and too complicated to go into here. You don't really need them. The ones I'm going to focus on today are the three sets of hormones that make the biggest impact or can have the biggest impact on your health when they become imbalanced. How do they become imbalanced? It's not that you suddenly run out of hormones. They don't go missing, right? They don't suddenly become imbalanced out of nowhere. What happens, I'm going to explain to you, is a result of the hormones not getting the right type of instructions for them to function the way they need to function. And they get instructions from what you eat and what you drink and what you put on your skin and how you process your emotions and the air that you breathe. That's what they interact with. So what you eat is not just food. What you eat is specific instructions for your organs and for your hormones, telling them how to function optimally. When you're not eating in a way that gives them the wrong instructions, they're going to malfunction. It's a very simple cause and effect. It's not complicated. It's not that you need to run out and replace hormones. And it's not like it's not fixable once they become, they start to malfunction. It's all about addressing where is my particular hormonal imbalance coming from, because where am I giving it the wrong set of instructions, and as a result, it's not functioning. So they're very sensitive, your hormones. I want you to think of them sort of as like a symphony, and each instrument is a different hormone or a different organ that produces a hormone, and they all have to work and play in incredible synchronicity together. If one organ is producing too much or sending out too much of a hormone at the wrong time, and another organ is doing the same thing, imagine an orchestra that's playing out of tune. And when one does that, it affects the others. So even if you have, one instrument playing perfectly in tune, playing perfectly on time, but you have 6 other instruments that are totally off, this one will not be able to function properly for long. It's going to be affected by the malfunction of the other ones. So before I get into each particular set of hormones, I want to also explain the difference, because sometimes there's some confusion, the difference between perimenopause and menopause. So the big sets of hormones I'm going to talk about, this actually applies to men and women. All men and women have insulin, have cortisol, have thyroid hormones. But specific to women, and men can actually go through perimenopause and menopause as well. But for our purposes, perimenopause can happen anytime starting around the age of 35 to 50. And this is the period of time where your body's getting ready for menopause. So you still get your period. It might be irregular, 1 month on, 1 month off. But the biggest differentiating factor between perimenopause and menopause is whether or not you're actually menstruating. As long as you have a period, you are in perimenopause. Menopause is when you have gone 12 consecutive months. So again, not 1 on, 1 off. 12 months in a row of not menstruating, then you are officially in menopause. And typically that will hit women somewhere in their late 40s to mid 50s. So in case you're not sure which one you are, you're still menstruating, you're menopause, you haven't had it for 12 months, you're perimenopause, you haven't had it for 12 months, and then you're in menopause for sure. All right. Perimenopause can be very confusing, and women think they're in they're in menopause because of the symptoms that accompany. So even if you're having your period regularly, you're going to feel the fatigue, you're going to have the insomnia, you're going to have the irritability, you're going to have the depression, you're going to have the night sweats. You might have muscle and joint pain, all of those, breast tenderness, hair loss, all of those are signs of perimenopause. When it's done, when you stop menstruating, menopause is not that different. The difference is you just don't have a period. You're not bleeding every month, but you can still have hot flashes and night sweats. That doesn't necessarily stop with menopause. You can still be irritable. You can still feel, low. You can still have mood swings. You can still have the aches and pains. They're really not that different. Just as one is you have your period and one you don't. All right. So just know which one you're at right now. And put it in the comments. Let me know which one you're at. If you know now whether you're perimenopause or menopause. So here's how I'm going to break this down for you. 3 main sets of hormones. And these are the biggest ones, as I said, that control the biggest functions in your body. And when they are malfunctioning is when we see the hormonal conditions or chronic conditions. Most chronic and hormonal conditions are interrelated. When you see a hormonal malfunction, it leads to a chronic condition. And if you have a chronic condition, if we dig a little bit deeper, we'll find that the result is some kind of imbalance in 1 or 2 or more of your hormones. So 3 types of hormones. 1 are your sex hormones. This is what you might want to write down. 1 is your sex hormones. 2 is your stress hormones. And the 3rd set of hormones is your thyroid and metabolic hormones. All right, I'm going to go through each one, describe it, and give you the set of symptoms so that you can identify for yourself which set of hormones seems to be the one that is currently malfunctioning. And as we go through it, and if you find that, it looks like I have some sex hormones that are malfunctioning, I also have some stress hormones that are malfunctioning. Oh my gosh, I also look like I have thyroid and metabolic hormones malfunctioning. Don't panic. It's very possible to see a malfunction in all 3 categories. And that's because I said, when there's like a domino effect, when one starts to become imbalanced, highly likely the other ones will follow along. This is not for you to worry, not for you to panic. This is information for you to understand how your body functions, why it's functioning or malfunctioning the way that it is, and what you are doing to create balance where there's imbalance right now. So the first category, your sex hormones. This is the one I think most women identify with the most because it's the one that creates all the physical reproductive discomfort, right? And you have estrogen, which is your primary female sex hormone. This is the hormone that makes you a girl, it makes you a woman. It's the one that gives you your curves. It's the one that gives you your high-pitched voice. It's the one that's responsible for regulating your period once you start, when you're a teenager. Basically, it's everything that makes you female, right? The complete opposite of testosterone, which is the hormone that makes everything male about a man. So everything that makes you female, everything that makes you girly, your emotions, your periods, your, round hips, all of that is due to estrogen. Now, your ovaries are the organ. So the ovaries are not hormones. The ovaries are the organs. You have 2 of them. It's the organ that produces estrogen every single month for you. It also produces testosterone, but we're going to focus on the estrogen. It produces estrogen every month because you need a certain quantity of estrogen every single month to regulate your period and to regulate your menstruation. What happens with perimenopause and menopause is that you might end up with something called estrogen dominance, right? Or mostly it's estrogen dominance, where you have too much estrogen in your body, and that can lead to irregular periods, PMS, mood swings, skin breakouts, weight gain, even though you really haven't done anything differently, cravings all the time, bloating, really tender, swollen breasts, night sweats, low sex drive. All of that is attributed to high estrogen dominance. But here's where the misunderstanding happens. When you see, or if you get a diagnosis of estrogen dominance, it doesn't mean that your ovaries are overproducing estrogen. That's not why you have more of it. When your ovaries produce estrogen every single month in a regularly functioning body, they produce the right amount of estrogen. It goes in, it regulates your period, it regulates the cycles of your period. You have your period, you're done with your period. And then that estrogen that's been used up that month, it has to go to your liver. The liver has to filter it, and then the body eliminates it, making room for the next month's fresh batch of estrogen. What happens is when your liver is overburdened, because the liver has like 6,000 functions, filtering your estrogen is just one of those functions. But when the liver is overburdened, because you're continuously eating the caffeine, the alcohol, the junk food, the processed foods, that list of foods, and the liver is too tired, it can't fulfill all of its functions properly anymore. One of the functions that falls off is filtering your estrogen. So every month, instead of it filtering your estrogen and it going through the proper channels to be eliminated, the estrogen gets stuck. Liver can't get rid of it, can't filter it, can't eliminate it to make way for the fresh estrogen the next month. But guess what? The ovary is still going to produce fresh estrogen the next month, on top of the old used estrogen that now gets stored back, usually back in your uterus. So it starts to collect in your uterus. Body produces more estrogen the next month for your next period. Again, it can't get filtered, so it gets piled on top of the old estrogen from last month. So you have last month and this month and the month before and the month before. Ovaries, the month after that, produce more estrogen again. So the problem is not a problem of the ovaries. Estrogen dominance is not a weakness or a malfunction of the ovaries. Estrogen dominance is a liver malfunction. So to solve estrogen dominance and to solve all the symptoms that come with estrogen dominance, it's not about taking a birth control pill. It's not about removing your ovaries. It's not about taking any kind of method to control what's happening in the reproductive system, because the malfunction is not in the reproductive system. It's in the liver. The solution is to detox the liver so the liver can function optimally, so that it can filter your estrogen every single month. And once it starts to do that, all of the symptoms fall away. And this is what we're doing in the program. And this is why you can be done with perimenopause and you can be in menopause, and your body necessarily is producing like minimal amounts of estrogen when you're in menopause, but still the liver has to filter it. So even when the body has less estrogen as you get older, the body's not filtering it, it's going to create the same symptoms. So write this down if you think you have an imbalance in your sex hormones. Irregular periods, PMS, mood swings, skin breakouts, sugar cravings, very painful, swollen breasts, low sex drive, night sweats, and weight gain. Those are the main symptoms of having an estrogen dominance, or just a simple what's called an imbalance. The next one are your stress hormones. And everybody talks about being stressed all the time. And many times you'll go to the doctor and you'll do like all the tests because you're not feeling well. And all the tests will come back everything within range, right? And the doctor will tell you, you're perfectly fine. You're just stressed. You need to go home and relax because the stress is what's making you sick. On paper, you look perfectly fine, which is correct and not correct, because he doesn't give you the second half of that explanation, which is, okay, so if I don't have any visible physical issues with me, how is stress actually making me sick? So I'm going to explain it to you. Stress hormones are actually, again, like all your hormones that are working for you all the time. Your hormones are not out there to make your life miserable. Your hormones are there to make sure that every function in your body moves smoothly. And one of those functions is your reactions, how you react with the outside world. So in your reactions with other human beings, in your reactions with situations, do you need to, if you've ever heard the saying fight or flight mode, right? That's what your stress hormones are supposed to help you do. To help you make a decision. Am I in a situation where I need to run? Or am I in a situation where I need to actually stand up and fight? Am I in a situation where I need to stay quiet? Am I in a situation where I need to kind of like appease everybody around me? That's where your stress hormones come in. They're there to help you in those situations. But the problem is they're supposed to help you in those situations every now and then, right? Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, you're faced with that kind of a situation. The problem in our stressful world today is we're faced with these kinds of situations where we have to like fight or flee or argue or stay quiet or pretend we're okay with everything every single day, all the time. If we look back to original man, ancient man from 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, physiologically, the same exact body as we have now, the same organs, the same hormones, the same functions. In that day and age, what was their source of stress? They lived in the caves, they all lived happily together. Every once in a while, they would have to go out and chase an animal to kill it and bring it home to eat. Their source of stress was potentially being chased by the animal that they're trying to catch, or if some of the people in opposing caves decided to get into a battle with each other. So the source of igniting stress in the body was very, 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 very far and few in between. And when they needed to run away from an animal, the body pumped them full of cortisol and adrenaline so they could run as fast as they can to save their life. Or if they were in battle, they would pump the cortisol and adrenaline so they could fight for their life. So we don't do that in modern day anymore. We're not fighting for our lives. We're not being chased by animals. But the way we live, modern day lifestyles, the way that our body perceives the stressors around us, it perceives them as if you are being chased by an animal, as if you are going out for battle, because that instinct is the same. It hasn't changed from the original man 100,000 years ago. So when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you need to do is have a cup of coffee, your body tags that as a stressful situation because you're not feeling comfortable, you're not feeling relaxed. You need to have your cup of coffee in the morning. So you drink your coffee, and what does the body do? It pumps cortisol in response because it senses that you are not comfortable first thing starting your day, and coffee tags the coffee as a toxin. So it pumps cortisol to deal with it. And then you wake up, you starting your day with your kids, with your husband. They're not being cooperative. The kids don't want to get to school on time. You have to push everybody out of the house. And then you get into traffic. And then you get to the office and your boss is being annoying and your colleagues are being difficult. Every single one of those situations, your body, your stress response is responding as if that's you being chased by an animal every single time. And in response is going to push cortisol to help you deal with these situations. So what ends up happening, because your body doesn't have an infinite amount of cortisol, which is your stress hormone, is you get exhausted. Because imagine, right, you're not actually being chased by an animal, but your body thinks it is, and it's responding as if you are. So imagine if you were actually being chased by an animal 10 times a day. Because that's how your body is responding to your external stress triggers. You're going to be exhausted. And then how do you deal with the exhaustion? You drink more coffee because you're tired, or you go and have something sweet because you need a pick-me-up, or you need cake, or you need chocolate, or you need more coffee, whatever it is. Anything to help you pick up when you have a slump, because you might not even be aware of it, but a slump typically happens because of a series of stress trigger events. A conversation, a deadline, something not going your way, traffic and you're late going home, bad news, world events, all of those triggers the body to respond with cortisol. And that's how you see high cortisol, because it's continually pumping cortisol. That again has to be filtered once the body's done with it. It has to be filtered through your liver. And if the liver is overburdened, it's not filtering estrogen, it's not going to filter cortisol either. So what happens? Cortisol recirculates instead of being eliminated by the body, and it collects in your midsection. So if you've noticed that your midsection is getting bigger and you really haven't changed the way you're eating and you're still working out the way you've always worked out, but you just see a stubborn midsection, we call that a cortisol belly. That is a sign of too much cortisol. That is a sign of high stress in your body. And when that happens, it's again another domino effect. So you're going to feel the fatigue, like I said, you're going to feel maybe low blood pressure, maybe high blood pressure. In anxiety, like if your body feels like it's always in trouble, something's always chasing it, how can you relax and sleep? So anxiety, inability to sleep, panic attacks at the worst end of that, plus the cortisol belly. How many of you think you have excess cortisol? Let me know in the chat. And let me see who said menopause and perimenopause. Shaylan, menopause. Can I be in perimenopause if I have a monthly cycle? I'm 38. Yeah, definitely. 38 is a typical age for the body to start to go through perimenopause. Menopause, perimenopause. Okay. Yes, irregular periods, perimenopause. I have mood swings after my periods. My periods have been on time and regular and no pain, but last month I had 15 days. This is perimenopause. Night sweats, joint pain, inflammation, perimenopause if you still have your period. Fibroids are a result of estrogen dominance. Yes, so fibroids, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, these are all what happens when the estrogen recollects back in your reproductive system. When it's not filtered, it gets dumped back in the uterus and forms fibroids and forms cysts and forms endometriosis. Night sweats, mood swings. I eat. Yeah, this is me. Stress hormones. Me. Yep. Oh, I think in this day and age, a lot of people are struggling with excess cortisol. I have both, alhamdulillah, me, stress, insomnia. Rahab, what is the difference between free cortisol, metabolized cortisol? I'm going to go with free cortisol is the one that your body pumps. So the body pumps it from your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. Remember I told you yesterday, if you put your hands on your waist, where your thumb hits in the back, that's where your kidneys are. On top of each kidney is your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are the organ that produces cortisol and pumps cortisol as needed. So free cortisol is the cortisol coming out of your adrenal glands as needed. Metabolized is the one that's gone through your system and should have been filtered and hasn't been. I have both. Yes. I was diagnosed with estrogen dominance after a specific incident. I gained weight, irregular period flow less than before, irritability, mood swings. Also, my stress multiplied by 10 after the incident. Yeah. So they're usually hormone and chronic conditions are because the body's one system. The body's not this disconnected set of organs. They're all connected. They all function together. They're like a symphony, as I told you. So the incredible thing, of course, is that yes, you can have an imbalance or malfunction in one or more, but once you start to rebalance, like how you're doing now, even if your focus is right, I have fibroids, I really want to work on shrinking my fibroids, which you can do 100%. But you also have high cortisol, and maybe you have a bit of issue with your insulin, but they're not big issues. Your main focus, let's say, is your fibroids. The body can't heal one thing and not heal something else. So you might be focused on healing your estrogen, but your body will also heal your cortisol and your thyroid and any other hormonal imbalance that you have. We don't know which one is going to heal first, in what order, but they will heal. It's impossible for the body to only heal one thing that's off and leave something still continuing to be a problem. All right, finally, we are going to talk about your metabolic hormones, and that's thyroid and insulin. So with thyroid, you have two types of imbalances, right? I mean, you have the main thyroid hormones are T3 and T4. So again, how the body's interconnected. Your thyroid, which is right here, is the gland that produces these hormones. But you need these hormones to be, they need to go through the liver, right? They need to be transformed in the liver. That doesn't happen in your thyroid. So that doesn't happen again if your liver is overburdened. So when we look at thyroid conditions, we're not just looking at is the liver overproducing or underproducing? I'll tell you the symptoms for each, but is the shifting and the transformation of those hormones happening the way that it should be happening in the liver? So this is why thyroid medication on its own doesn't work, because it's only addressing part of the problem and it's not addressing the problem at the root cause. So you can start with thyroid medication and you might feel a little bit better at the beginning, but eventually you haven't solved the root cause. You haven't looked at why is my thyroid either overproducing or underproducing, and you haven't even started to look at the liver. So you can have an overproducing thyroid, right? Hyperthyroidism. This is when the thyroid, produces more thyroid hormones than you need. And that can lead to something called Graves' disease or thyroiditis. And the symptoms for that are, one of the easiest symptoms is rapid weight loss. So again, you haven't done anything really differently with how you eat or how you sleep or how you work out, but you start to lose weight very, very fast because your metabolic thermostat is sort of raised, so to speak, then everything is going very fast. So you might have palpitations that don't go away. You have loose stools. You're constantly sweating because everything is revved up inside you. Anxiety, nervousness, and mood swings. Trouble sleeping. You can see that your hands are warm, just your hands, and they might seem a bit red, again, because everything is heating up inside you from too much thyroid. Another interesting one is if you have curly hair and it used to always hold a curl and then it can't anymore, that could be a sign of hyperthyroidism, and your nails breaking really easily as well. So that's an overactive thyroid. An underactive thyroid is just the complete opposite of that. So instead of the weight loss, it's all of a sudden I'm gaining weight for no reason. And no matter what I do, I can't lose the weight. It's hair loss. It's feeling weak. It's being not able to focus. Like everything slows down. You can't focus. You can't concentrate. Muscle cramps. You feel depressed. You might feel dizzy. You might have more aches and pains. You might actually have like terrible memory loss. You can't remember anything. And instead of your hands and feet feeling hot, they feel cold. Just your hands and your feet. And everything might feel a bit more puffy. Instead of loose stools, it's constipation all the time. All of those are signs of an underactive thyroid. All right. How many of you think you have, or maybe you've already been diagnosed with a thyroid? I have high free cortisol and low metabolized cortisol. I don't understand the implications of this discrepancy. Let me look into that for you, Rahab. I'm not sure I have the answer for that either. I have hypothyroid, underactive, underactive. The more common one is hypothyroid. Yeah, that's where most women, if they're going to have a thyroid condition, it's sluggish and slow. All right, our last metabolic hormone is insulin. And insulin is the one that you know as the one that regulates, or it's related to your blood sugar levels, et cetera, et cetera. It's the only hormone that if you go and you get diagnosed with insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, it's the only one where you might be given instructions to go home and change how you eat. For the rest of them, you're not. You're usually given medications, thyroid medications, blood pressure medications, or you're given birth control. You might still, of course, be given, medications for prediabetes or diabetes, but it really is the only time where we see medical doctors giving nutritional advice. Unfortunately, for the most part, it's the incorrect advice, but at least they're trying. Here's what happens with insulin. Insulin is produced in your pancreas. Pancreas, again, secretes the right amount of insulin that it needs to produce, just like all your other organs. And what insulin does is it's flowing in your bloodstream. And then when you eat, and specifically when you eat something with sugar or with glucose in it, what insulin's responsibility is to take that sugar out of what you're eating and move it into your cells. Because remember, again, everything we're doing is to feed the cells. So insulin's responsibility is to move that sugar into your cells so they can have their fuel. What happens is, because most people are eating the wrong source of sugar. So if you're eating bread, you're eating pasta, you're eating cakes, cookies, that's not really the sugar that your cells are waiting for. But insulin is going to try and move it anyway. So every single day you're eating these sources of sugar, insulin. In order to move the sugar, the body has to pump a little bit more insulin so it can do its job. So the body pumps a little bit more insulin. Insulin goes and grabs the sugar from your cake or your pasta or your bread and takes it to the cells and knocks on the cell's door and says, right, here's your sugar for today. Please open up so I can move the sugar inside you. And the cells are like, no, but this is not the right sugar. I don't want this. I want the sugar from fruits. I want the sugar from healthy potatoes and sweet potatoes and starches. Where is that? And insulin's like, I'm sorry, I don't have that. This is all she ate today. She had coffee and a croissant for breakfast. This is all you're getting. So the cells say, no, we don't want it. So what does insulin do? It still has this sugar. It can't move it into the cells. It takes it because it has to go somewhere and it stores it in your fat cells. So you don't gain weight from eating fat. You gain weight from the processed sugar that insulin was not able to move into the cells. The next day, the same thing happens. You have your pasta lunch, the insulin is raised, tries to move the sugar from that pasta into your cells. The cells say, no, thank you. This is not the sugar that I want. Insulin takes it and puts that sugar in your hips. Keeps doing this every single day, however many times you keep eating processed sugar. After a while, the cells are like, fine, okay, we'll open up because obviously we're not getting the right kind of sugar. Give us this processed sugar. So yay, insulin is able to bring in this processed sugar. But over time, the cells, they're sort of, they're agreeing to this sugar that's not really the sugar that they want, but then it starts making them sick because it's the wrong sugar. They don't want it anymore. So over time, as insulin continues to bring in the wrong sugar, the cells put their foot down. They're like, you know what? We let you bring in this sugar over and over and over and over again. We're not doing it again. They keep the walls shut. Insulin is like, please, I need to bring this sugar inside you. They say no. So then the body pumps more insulin. It thinks, okay, if I just give more insulin, let's make the insulin stronger so we can force that sugar into the cells, then the cells will agree. So it pumps more insulin to bring in this wrong sugar, and the cells still say no. And this is the first stage of insulin malfunction, which is called insulin resistance. The resistance is coming from the cells because they don't want this wrong sugar anymore. But the body just knows how to keep doing what it's been programmed to do. So when there's a source of sugar coming in, it pumps insulin. Insulin tries to move it in. The cells say no. Insulin takes that sugar, stores it in your fat cells over and over and over again until the insulin resistance is not enough. The body has to pump even more insulin, and the insulin stays high continued periods of time. Then you get pre-diabetes because that's way too much insulin in the blood. Then you keep doing that even longer, and that's how you end up with diabetes. So the solution with insulin is a very simple one. Stop giving the sugar that the cells don't want. They don't want the processed sugar from bread and pasta and junk. The other problem with insulin is when you eat too much fat and too much protein. So the other way the insulin is prevented from moving sugar into your cells is if your cells are coated in too much fat. Literally, there's a blockage. So even if you're eating the right sugar from fruits, the insulin can't move it into the cells because you've got too much fat. So in order to reverse an insulin issue, it's two things. It's remove the processed sugars that the cells don't want and remove the excess animal fat and animal protein that coats the cell so that the insulin can't penetrate the cell. How many of you think you have insulin resistance? Insulin resistance, by the way, cravings that don't go away, where you're continuously craving for food, processed sugars, that's a sign of insulin imbalance. If you have a fatty liver already, that's a sign of insulin imbalance. If you also have abdominal belly fat, that's a sign of any kind of insulin imbalance. If you have PCOS, if you have high blood pressure, if you have swollen ankles, all of those are signs of insulin imbalance. Let's go back up and see thyroid. Yep, underactive. So here's the thing. Sada wants to get it checked out. You can go and get it checked out and do all the labs, and the labs can come back saying you are within normal range. It's not hyper, it's not hypo, but you still have all the symptoms. And the reason that, just in case this happens to you, Sada, the reason this happens, and if it's happened to anybody else, is when you go and do a general blood test for hormones, iron, all of those, they're testing you against a general population, not an optimal population, the general population. And the general population is generally what? Sick. The general population of the world, all over the world, if you take 10 people, 8 or 9 out of those 10 people are going to have health issues. So they're not measuring you against an optimal slice of the population. They're measuring you against a general slice of the population, which is unwell. And so you might get results that say you're fine, because based on everybody else who's really sick and tired, you're actually kind of okay, but you still have the symptoms. And this can be really frustrating. So we always go by the symptoms. We always measure how we're healing, not just by the test results, but how the symptoms are actually decreasing or reversing. Looks like I have an underactive but not diagnosed. I have antibodies, though it's not borderline. So when you see antibodies, the other thing about this is your body doesn't ever really attack itself. In conventional medicine, they believe that there's something called autoimmune and that the body's going to attack the thyroid. If there's something going on in the thyroid, it's called the thyroid issue. Any other autoimmune in other parts of the body is the body attacking that part. In holistic health, we never, ever believe that the body can ever attack itself. Your body is always working for you. It's always working to heal you. It's attacking something. It's attacking something that's undermining your health, something that's undermining your thyroid, something that's jeopardizing your hormones or your nervous system. But the way that conventional medicine tests for it, and because they don't understand, they just simply don't understand what they call these mysterious illnesses, they say autoimmune theory, but it's just a theory. We know that if you have antibodies in your thyroid or elevated antibodies anywhere in your body, it's because that organ is fighting something. And typically it's fighting an external pathogen or virus that has made that organ its home. So the thyroid is fighting really, really hard to get rid of it. And that compromises the thyroid function. Yes, that pathogen or virus hanging out in your thyroid. Typically, when it comes to thyroid, we're looking at something called Epstein-Barr virus. Typically, when we look at autoimmune, what the body is actually fighting, different types of pathogens or bacteria, of course, but many times we find underlying viruses, and one of the most common ones is Epstein-Barr virus. So this is also why you might go and do a test for thyroid, and it's not really showing anything, but you have all the symptoms because your body's still fighting something that's not supposed to be there. And the only way to eliminate the virus or the pathogen or the bacteria is using nutrition. There is no medicine that you can take for that. Hind, I gained weight, but I'm not sure if it's the thyroid. I lose a lot of hair, zero focus. And so this could be, it hasn't necessarily hit your thyroid. It could be a systemic issue with a virus or a pathogen that's weakening your body. I have cold feet and hands. That's hypothyroidism. Fogginess. I really think I have underactive thyroid, but the doctor keeps saying that my reading is normal. Yeah, I just explained that. So go with your symptoms, right? track your symptoms and see how your symptoms start to improve regardless of what the test says. Rehab, my thyroid tests are all normal, however, I have all the symptoms. Again, same thing. The same thing when I did the blood test in Egypt. The doctor found out in Germany with ultrasound, not with blood test. Then he asked me to do a blood test, antibody T3, T4. In all cases, what your thyroid is fighting is not itself. It can never do that. It's raising the antibodies are raised because they are in a battle, but they're not in a battle with you or with your thyroid. They're in a battle with an external pathogen or virus. Thank you. I have to leave. I think all of us will have to leave soon, being mindful of the time. I think I have hyperthyroid. My readings are borderline. Can someone let me know where's the recorded videos? All the recorded videos are in the group right after the session under guides in the group, and then also posted in the next day's email. Always in the next day's email. Even healthy fats like avocados and olive oil. Those are not the ones that are going to be problematic at first. Okay, the bigger problems come from too much animal fat, too much animal protein. But once that develops, then these become secondary problems. Yes, so they would also have to go. Insulin imbalance, pre-diabetic, me probably, high cholesterol. Thank God I have all. It's okay. I have most of insulin imbalance. My test shows now thyroid issue, but I have no thyroid issue. I have all the symptoms. Borderline. Yeah. Is test like SoCheck accurate or same as a blood test? I don't know what that is, Zainab. I'm not familiar with that. Swollen ankles for many years. I monitored my insulin and blood sugar, was insulin sensitive, but after, yeah, okay. Animal protein, yeah, because animal protein blocks the regular right sugar from going into your cells. And animal fat is going to block a lot and create a lot of metabolic issues, specifically with insulin, the same way that processed sugar can, and this can lead to weight gain. What is the cure for insulin imbalance? Nutrition and nutrition only. You take out the processed sugar and too much animal protein and too much animal fat so that insulin has to reprogram itself to come back down again, and you reprogram it to function with natural sugar from fruits and starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes only. This can take 3 to 6 months, but this is the way that you do it. I have high cholesterol. Okay, can you guys, because cholesterol is another long conversation, and I'm just being mindful of time. Can you guys remind me tomorrow to talk about cholesterol in detail, please? And you don't have to take medication. Keto works short term. So keto works short term because when you do keto, you remove all the processed sugars, right? Keto means you're not eating bread, you're not eating pasta, you're not eating cakes, you're not eating cookies. So there's a short-term effect there of removing the processed sugars that insulin has a hard time moving. Keto is short-term results. Anybody who wants the long-term results needs to do the more vegetable, fruit and vegetable plan, and then bring in a little bit of animal protein. But keto gives just very quick short-term results, not the long-term results. Can you repeat what you said about the animal protein and fats? Does that mean we have to stop them completely? If you currently have an insulin issue, you need to remove them completely, which we're doing anyway. Until your insulin rebalances, which we're doing anyway, then you bring them in small quantities. Yes, because what it does is it coats your cells. Too much animal protein, too much animal fat coats your cells like a thick layer so that it's a barrier the insulin can't push the sugar through. Yes. Yeah, because too much animal protein is just as dangerous for insulin as too much processed sugar. Both of those are equally damaging to insulin. All right, ladies. By animal protein, you also mean fish and seafood. Those are on the lower end. They're not as fatty, although some of them are like salmon, but they would also have to go initially. And when we reintroduce, those would be the first things to introduce because they're much more less fatty and much easier to process by the body. All right. Okay, ladies, thank you for staying for a little bit longer session today and lots of information today. When you go back and watch the replays, let me know if you have any questions because I really did give you, like just the most basic outline for these hormones. So if you have something more specific or something you asked me about and I told you, remind me again tomorrow or let me look into it for you, please tag me in the group so that I can give you a better or more detailed follow-up as needed. All right, ladies, have a wonderful evening and I will see you all again tomorrow night, same time, same place. Good night, ladies.